All right. The GoPro's not working, but we got this beautiful sun here. I've been meaning to make this video for a while. But the channel's going to be focusing more on homesteading and preparedness, survival, that kind of stuff. The things that I think are important, especially in these coming years, this coming decade. Uh, coming mid-decade. We're already kind of in a new decade. But anyways, it's a mess. Got a big old oak stump here still that may sit here for a while because I kind of got to break it up and everything, and the Mini just doesn't do that well. Big old oak logs that I want to turn into some slabs possibly and sell, but all this brush and stuff, need to get a mulcher and or a chipper and chip all that stuff. But anyways, I've been meaning to make this video for a while. I didn't know how to put it. But the country is in some possible or inevitable, however you want to look at it, I guess. People have their own opinions about how it's being ran, how everything's going, but I don't think anybody can deny that we're not in this situation because of the last year. We're not in this situation because of the last 10 years. We're not in this situation because of the last 20 years. Americans have been suffering for the last 50, 60 years because we sold off our industries, our industrial market. Well, we didn't even sell it off. We gave it away, right? There's an echo. Hopefully that doesn't show up. We might move spots. But anyways, we gave away our industrial market to basically China. And that's very angering. And it's always bothered me. American made is 5 times the price, usually 6 times the price. You just can't do anything here. OSHA, NSHA, DNR, EPA. Yeah, sure. They're needed. We need to protect the land, protect the people, and everything. We can't let corporations, government run amok. But the best part is that we do. That those agencies don't do anything but hurt the guy in the middle or the guy at the end. They don't hurt anybody at the top. But anyways, the Industrial Revolution started in the late 1800s and ended in the early 1900s or something like that. I'm going to put the dates down below if I remember. Approximately 1.1 million men, yes, men, died for the Industrial Revolution. Of that age group, it's between the ages of 5 and 50. 5 and 50. Yeah, we put 5-year-old boys, men, 5-year-old men, to work. Articles and reports written about boys around the age of 8 to have worked their fingers to the bone, sorting coal by hand to the bone. Many died from infections, amputations were given. Yeah, by the way, that 1.2 million men that died doesn't count the permanently injured or the seriously injured men that gave so much for the future because they didn't get to live and prosper and see the fruits of their labor, but they knew it needed to be done. They knew America needed to be a powerhouse. They knew America needed to be strong. They knew America needed to be able to be self-sufficient. And it proved to be great because we are the only country to successfully bring industrialized equipment over a massive ocean into a foreign land and win a war. The British couldn't do it, but America could. Scrappers, less than 100 million people during the Industrial Revolution, around 76 million towards the end. And we gave 1.1 million of those people, men, to that cause that allowed us to become one of the freest, one of the greatest, one of the most powerful countries, civilizations in the history of mankind. The history, all whatever you consider 8,000, 10,000, 15,000 years of civilization, whatever you want to put that date as. And there are countries that have given more men to their industrial revolutions. India probably gave more. China probably gave a lot more. because they did it in like half the time that we did it. But they also had more people. And the boomers, change up the spot. Nice cold rock. The boomers, and yes, you Gen Xers, less so the Gen X, but the baby boomers, you gave it all away to mainly China, who took advantage of that. And I shouldn't even say gave away. We paid them. We still pay them to this day for their mining capabilities, which are great. China can mine. Don't get me wrong, there's pretty good miners up in Canada too. There were great miners here. In fact, Caterpillar is an industrial mining heavy equipment company. One of the greatest. Up there with Komatsu. Some other great brands. I mentioned Caterpillar because Caterpillar is American. At least for now. But they have to make 90% of all their stuff abroad. Japan, Taiwan, China. They rely on the markets abroad for the raw materials. But to get back on track, the boomers paid China to take our industries 5 to 50. 5 years old to 50-year-old men that never got to see the fruits of their labor. That would never live old enough, even if they were alive, to see the fruits of their labor. And maybe, if those men were still alive when they saw you selling it off, they might have cut your kneecaps off. Those are some brutally hard men that got us through the Industrial Revolution. 5 to 50 years old. I'm approximating that 50. I might be 48. I can't remember. Did you know that young boys were some of the most injured in the factories and the mines? Many of them didn't make it to adulthood. Many of them, if not all of them, didn't make it to adulthood without a serious injury, most likely. Picked coal. Sorted coal. To their fingers were worked to the bone. Many boomers wouldn't know what it's like for their hands to bleed from sorting rock. The arrogance and ignorance and the selfishness of the boomers. The government during that time period, can't just blame the boomers, although they owned the industries and the corporations and gave them to China. And they're still the same ones upset about how this country is right now. I didn't make it that way. My kids didn't make it that way. My wife, she didn't do it. Is it fair? Nah. But Americans are used to not having fairness, equality. In fact, equality makes everything unfair. The closest thing that we can get to fairness is for the current generations. And they will. They'll be forced to. Just like those 5-year-old boys were. They'll be forced to sacrifice everything so that the future can prosper and see the fruits of the previous generation labor. That's the Gen X, possibly me, still a millennial. That's the Z, Gen Z. It's my kids. We'll lump them into the generation I would call the Great Sacrifice. AI will take their jobs, will take their livelihood. Robots will have to be used so that we don't have to sacrifice millions of men again for an industrial revolution, because we have to. We have to industrialize again. Could you imagine being in 2025, the most powerful country in the world, and having to say to your people that we have to industrialize again? You know how embarrassing that is? You know what it's like? Could you imagine looking at that 5-year-old with no fingertips. And I'd be like, yeah, we gotta industrialize again. He wouldn't probably understand. That 5-year-old just knew hard work. Something the boomers don't know much about. They don't know much about sacrifice. Or anything like that. I used to defend the boomers. I got tired of it. I used to defend the old ways. I'm tired of it. I won't defend it. It's a tragedy. It's a Shakespearean play. I hate Shakespeare. 5 to 50. 5 to 50 years old. Mothers sent their boys. Their men. Mothers sent their boys. Their men to die. To become injured. Permanently injured. For the boomers to give it to China. You know, I don't blame the boomers completely as much as I do. I don't. But over yonder, I got an outdoor wood boiler. CPA regulated. It's got a dual chamber system. They say that it's 65% more efficient. Yeah. If your wood literally has no snow, 25% moisture content or less, they prefer less. Oh, and on top of that, you literally have to take care of it. You just build up creosote. By the way, creosote. Anyways, yeah, government didn't help. I called Central Boiler when that piece of crap wasn't working. Because I didn't understand it. Because I'm an idiot. I understand it now. It's not complicated, but I'm just an idiot. And I told him, I was like, why would you build such a complicated piece of over-engineered crap instead of just spending a couple $1 million and fighting the EPA? I met a guy that said that the government came after him for $5,000 in taxes. He knew he didn't own it. He had the proof. They refused to accept it. They didn't think the proof was legitimate. He spent $60,000 in lawyer fees. Now I think that's a little overboard. I mean, if you got $60,000, just pay the $5,000, right? No, it's the point. You boomers don't want to fight for anything. You're not fighters. And it's okay. Because the millennials watched the Twin Towers fall. The millennials went to that 20-year war. While the boomers were the higher-ups. You know, I met a general that had no combat stripes when I was in the service. When I was in the military. A general. Could you imagine? One of the top brass, one of the top guys in charge. Older. Wiser. Doesn't have a single damn combat stripe. And he's in charge of you. Getting off track here, aren't I? This land, so long as the government, so long as the boomers don't enact anything crazy, will produce for me. I'll make it produce. Because it's what fighters do. It'll be an orchard. They'll raise some chickens. Maybe a cow, hopefully, if I got enough land. Vegetables, potatoes, grains. I'm gonna do it all. Because we sold all our industries to China. But one thing America's good at is growing, right? We fed the world during both world wars. Enemies and allies. This video's going on, ain't it? I almost forgot what I've all talked about. Probably should have had a little notebook. I am angry. I'm frustrated. But I'm determined to give the best life that I can for my children. Because it's going to get rough. You're all mad at Trump when he's the only guy since he was in his 20s writing and talking about it, published works about how bad of an idea it was to give our industries and how bad of an idea it is not to take them back from China. To bring back home. To do a little bit of deregulating. Oh no, you want to put kids back in mines? You know what? We did it once, boomers. And I'm glad you didn't have to go through that. I'm glad you get to make the decision whether or not we re-industrialize. Because you guys still own so much. You're just glad you don't have to do it. The old people are just glad they got to live in one of the most prosperous times in American history. Cheap insurance. I mean, you went to work for 40 hours. You got awesome benefits. You got 2-3 weeks of vacation. You retired after 25 years. I mean, what a time to be alive, right? The generation before them, they either died before retirement or they didn't retire at all. Hell, that's the same thing, ain't it? The generation after the boomers, you won't see retirement. I got a couple friends that probably will. They're pretty well off, but they're an exception to the rule. Millennials, you will work. You will die working for a greedy corporation built by, funded by corrupt communist boomers. We didn't lose. We won't lose. Because all the generation after the boomers are fighters. All the generations since. And they've proven it. They've paid 60% of their income to rent. They've paid 10% of their income to fuel to get to work, to public transportation. They've paid and fought for the scraps. So my kids will learn how to grow their own food. My kids will learn how to hunt, raise animals, take care of the land, take care of the people around them, become more of agrarian type of people. There's a guy that was sent off to war. He might have joined. He might have been. Can't remember. But he was sent off to war in World War II. He ate well because he hunted. He hunted the royals' food. He killed animals. So he ate well. When the British were starving, his team, his squad, wasn't hungry at all. They didn't have to ration. They just ate off the land in a foreign country. That's what I want my kids to be able to do. Because until robots come along, with the state of the world, state of the globe, the state of the U.S., the fighters might have to actually fight. Because 5 to 50-year-olds sacrificed so much. Men of the Industrial Revolution sacrificed so much. It was worth so much money. Industrialized America was worth so much money that the greed and the hate for the previous generation, those boys, they didn't have to look them in the eyes. They were all dead. They just gave it away. They didn't even sell it. Hell, they paid China to take it. They paid China to take it. And here we are. Well, I think I should end the video, get this posted. That's just some food for thought, I guess. Just think about it. What's wrong with wanting to bring American business back? What's wrong with being able to mass produce boats and ships and rail and aircrafts and AI, obviously? This AI is going to be the only thing that saves us from the economic powerhouse of China. An economic powerhouse. A global power. Now, I don't think they could fight. They've proven that when Japan took mainland China pretty easily, and the British did. But China also genocided their fighters. America is actually one of the only countries not to kill all their fighters. Luckily, the Civil War had ended before we killed all the good fighters. Before all the good fighters died, both sides had great fighters. I won't change my mind on that. Just remember, for America to come out on top in any situation, World War, Civil War, another industrial revolution, all these things are possible. And one, if not all, or some, will happen. Will happen. The boomers aren't the ones that have to fight. They never had to, and they never will. That's just nuts to think. That there's an entire wealthy generation with silver spoons and delicate hands that sent so many men to war that pissed on the graves of 5-year-old boys, 5-year-old men. My bad. Those are men. That the boomer boys, they don't care about. That the government never cared about. Well, I'll leave you with that.